Thank you, Ambassador Song. Thank you again for giving us time for this interview. As you are aware, Canada took a big, significant step in reconciliation with Indigenous peoples with the appointment of Mary Simon, an Indigenous Governor General. The historic appointment, along with the ongoing truth and reconciliation process, does this not undermine your argument that Canada has no moral authority calling out China for human rights violations?
First, I think that the Canadian people, they judge by themselves what the situation looks like. And from what I have heard, that actually a large number of people, including the members of parliament, including the Indigenous people themselves, they are criticizing what the Canadian side are doing when it comes to redressing those problems. So still today, we can see all those sufferings by the Indigenous people. And of course, not only the Indigenous people, but the people of other origins, like Muslims, like the Asians, they have been treated, in a way that I hardly believe it's up to the standard when it comes to human rights. Whereas in China, we have actually created the best human rights achievements for the Chinese people, because for the Communist Party of China, the mission and the aspiration since the founding day is to seek happiness for the people and the rejuvenation of the nation. So you can see that over the years, 72 years into the founding of the new China, we have achieved a lot. And currently, throughout China, including in Xinjiang, people are living in harmony. They enjoy economic development and social stability. So I think that the Western countries, including Canada, they are not in a position to criticize China over human rights. Rather, they should reflect on their own problems and take concrete steps to redress that.
China, in terms of marking its centenary of the CPC, in a speech, China's President Xi said, "We will not accept sanctimonious preaching from those who feel they have the right to lecture us." But he also said, "We're eager to learn what lessons we can from the achievements of other countries." What lessons has China learned from Canada?
The presidency point out that we would like to learn from the outside. I think that's all over the world. And I think when it comes to China and Canada, we have a lot of things that we can work together, like on climate change, environmental protection, fighting pandemic. In all those areas, I think that we have made a lot of exchanges. And also in the areas of higher education, we are happy to see that there are a lot of students coming this way to Canada. And also a large number of Canadian students would like to visit China. So that's good. We encourage this kind of people-to-people exchange. So I think there's a lot that we can learn from each other on the basis of mutual respect and the equal treatment.
Ambassador, in recent interviews, you have said that China has welcomed and will continue to welcome fair-minded people to Xinjiang, as you mentioned earlier, to witness the life there. Does China consider the UN Human Rights Commissioner Michelle Bachelet as a fair-minded person?
That over the past years, 2 years and a half, we have received more than 1,400 people from the world, and they compose of journalists, diplomats, and religious people. And recently, we have received a large number of envoys based in China. They come from, countries like, in the Middle East, in Asia, and in European countries, some of the European countries. So we do welcome those people to go to visit Xinjiang and to see by themselves how Xinjiang enjoys stability and prosperity. And also for the Human Rights High Commissioner, we are having this communication with her office as to work out the details to the visit. And of course, we also suggest that the visit itself should be conducive to the friendly exchange and not to be served as a so-called investigation with the presumption of guilt, because that will be not conducive to those kind of truth-finding, mission. I think that people should be there to see by themselves, but rather, instead of, treating China as a criminal.
Am I hearing that you believe that the UN is not fair-minded and has certain biases already ingrained? Is that what I'm hearing from you?
Because from the experience that we had when it comes to the communication with some Western countries, we sent the invitation to them, long ago, but they raised a lot of, conditions that cannot be accepted on our parts. So we would like to make sure that we have a smooth, running of the visit. That's why, we are having this kind of communication with them.
I know it's been 3 years, but Mr. Ambassador, with all candor, China can make this all go away, bringing in the UN observers who are impartial for unfettered access. You're confident that they would corroborate China's position on Xinjiang. China is vindicated and the issue is resolved. Why not move forward and stop the rumors and disinformation? Why not let it go forward quickly?
We have shown our sincerity in receiving, a lot more people to visit Xinjiang. And I think that one factor, which we have to take into consideration is the pandemic. And as we have learned that actually last year, the High Commissioner, she hasn't visited any country due to the COVID-19. So actually, for what we can, we are doing that within our ability to provide a favorable condition, to make sure that foreigners can be there to see by themselves. And we just want to suggest that for those people who like to take this opportunity to keep slandering, against China, to make those groundless accusations against China, certainly we reject that.
So just to recap, you would accept a visit by the UN Human Rights Commissioner, but not a team of observers, correct?
I have made it clear that we welcome, the Human Rights High Commissioner to visit Xinjiang, and we are communicating, with her team over that. What we oppose is some people trying to use that as a so-called investigation and with the presumption of guilt in the first place.
Mr. Ambassador, the two Michaels are awaiting a verdict, and China has a successful prosecution rate of 99%. We all know where this is heading. Given this, can you guarantee that the two Michaels will get substantive in-person consular visits, in-person family visits going forward? Can you make that guarantee and that assertion?
Some people, they talk a lot about the cases of these two Canadian citizens because they lack correct understanding of Chinese judicial system. China is a country with rule of law, and the relevant judicial organs are handling the cases in accordance with law and in an independent way. And those two Canadians, they have been arrested and prosecuted because of suspected crimes endangering national security of China. And our judicial organs are also providing, those legitimate rights to them. So when it comes to the consular access, we have been honoring our commitments under the obligation of relevant international convention and our bilateral agreement, and we will be continuing to do so in the future.
Thank you. Are you hoping, can you do more? Are you open to doing more in terms of in-person visits, both on the consular side and the familial side?
we have faithfully carried out our obligation, under those conventions and agreements, and we will continue to do so in the future time. And their legitimate rights are preserved.
The physical and mental strain on Michael Spavor and Michael Kovrig is concerning. And does China care for the well-being of these two men?
I think that we have provided, everything that we can do to ensure their legitimate rights. And at the same time, I would like to suggest once again that when we talk about our bilateral relationship, we can just not overlook the Meng Wanzhou incident, which is the main obstacle in our bilateral relationship. So we do hope that the Canadian side will heed those rational voices and to reflect on its mistakes and to take steps to correct that and to release Madame Meng as soon as possible.
Mr. Ambassador, I wanted to ask you about, back to the two Michaels. Have the two Michaels been given COVID vaccinations?
I think that I explained to you that we have taken all the necessary steps to ensure their lawful rights are protected.
But have they been vaccinated?
So that's the message I could share with you, David.
I'm a little bit, I don't know, help me understand the sensitivity of the issue, but why can you not tell me that they have either received the vaccinations or they haven't?
I think that when we are talking about the legitimate rights, good health, of course, are included.
I want to speak about another Michael, Michael Chong, conservative Chinese-Canadian member of parliament. Why did you think it was necessary to impose sanctions on him?
It's the Canadian side who had, illegally filed the so-called sanction against China on the basis of the groundless accusation against China. So it is certainly justified for us to take countermeasures for those people who have been engaging in spreading lies against China and who have been doing things to disrupt China's development. Of course, their plot will not work. They will be doomed to fail. But certainly we have every resolve to safeguard our national interest and the sovereignty and the security.
Mr. Ambassador, I want to just briefly touch on a story that moved this past week, and it was about WeChat. I want to ask you, was the Chinese government involved in any way in the move by WeChat to delete the accounts of LGBT topics by university students or non-governmental groups? And first of all, I have a follow-up as well.
I hardly believe that WeChat is run by the government. So that's, I think I can share what I can share with you.
Maybe a broader perspective, is there any concern in the Communist Party that you of a tightening of control over gay and lesbian content? Is LGBT topics a threat to China?
Human rights, are protected in China, and that's why we have argued that we have achieved when it comes to the progress in human rights in China, and that's best ever in 1,000 years of civilization for the China. So every Chinese citizen, under the law, they are protected, because, protecting human rights is enshrined in our constitution and the relevant laws.
Mr. Ambassador, on the 2022 Olympics, do you have any concerns that the games could be moved and that there might be a growing trend towards this movement?
I think that people in the world, they are eager to see the Beijing Winter Olympic Games, to be held as scheduled. And we are confident that we can offer simple, standard, and safe Olympic Games to the winter sports lovers. And that's important because those athletes, they should not be deprived of their rights to take part in this great event once in 4 years' time. And any politicization of sports is against the Charter of Olympics. And I am happy to see that a large number of people here, they really would like to see that the Canadian athletes taking part in the event. And I also do welcome and wish those athletes have an excellent performance in the upcoming Winter Olympic Games. I know that they have done a very good, in the past, in the previous 3 Olympic Games. So it is hoped that they can have even better performance in Beijing.
Mr. Ambassador, I thank you for your time today.
I thank you so much, David.